seated. The Honorable Minister of Aviation is represented by Mr. Tunde Moshood. The Executive Secretary, National Assembly Library Trust Fund, Right Honorable Henry Dochukungwauba, expert. Mr. Akintunde Sawyer, the MD, CEO, NEL Fund, the Senior Special Assistant to President Tinubu on Digital and New Media, Ortega Ogra. Engineer Ahmed Umar Farouk, MD, CEO, National Airspace Management Agency. Abraham Great, a public affairs analyst who happens to be one of our discussants at this program. Sydney Sampson, Managing Partner and CEO, Sidani Group of Companies. Our facilitator for the panels, Kayode Okikiolu, a very highly revered partners, National Institute for Cancer Research, Sidani Group, Nigeria Airspace Management Agency, Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, Nigeria Educational Loan Fund, and the National Assembly Library Trust Fund. Our rapporteurs, discussants, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm. Let me, on behalf of the office of the Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, welcome all of you to this evening's gathering. It is my honor and distinct honor and pleasure to welcome one and all to this very important and timely event, a convergence of bright minds from the media space, the legislature, and the policymakers to deliberate on the evolving landscape of new media and its impact on governance and democracy in Nigeria. We gathered here today not just as professionals from different sectors, but also as partners united by a shared commitment to deepen democratic practices, strengthen good governance, and better understand the dynamic role new media plays in shaping public opinion, policy making, and civic engagements. In a rapidly changing digital world, new media, you'll all agree with me, has become and so he's going to insist that they leave us permanently on the generating set, and PHC and changing digital world. We're all aware of the great role that new media has been playing and has become increasingly undeniable a force to reckon with, amplifying voices and influencing policies across the globe. It is in the light of this that we're all gathered here for this very important occasion, an event put together by the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And I think that we salute him with a very resounding, loud applause You'll also agree with me that the Speaker of the House of Representatives is a man of distinction, and he's been, being very manifest since assuming office the Speaker of the House of Representatives. If these actually did you, then I think that applause for the Speaker should come even louder than that. Let me quickly, Mr. Speaker, sir, before we get this program started, recognize some of your colleagues that have come to support you and this very laudable program. I'd like to recognize, in no particular order, please, I recognize the presence of Honorable Hart Cyril. Would like to put your hands together to welcome Honorable Hart Cyril. Let's also recognize Honorable Tese Ubo. A round of applause for Honorable Tese Ubo. Honorable Mark Oseni is also here with us, so please a warm round of applause for him. Honorable Dr. Emil Inyang is also here with us, a round of applause for him. Honorable Ahmed Safana is an SA to the Speaker. He is here with us, a round of applause. Let me recognize very quickly Honorable Bello El-Rufai. Please a warm round of applause for him. We're also being joined by Honorable Architect Usman Baye. A big round of applause for our Honorable Architect Usman Baye. Honorable Akin Alabi is also here with us. Let me also recognize the very many other members whose names have not been sent, but I can see them from where I'm standing, and it becomes a bit Herculean task to wanting to put the names to the faces that I'm seeing. So please, if there are honorable members that are still seated, do kindly put pen to paper so we can have your names and we can recognize you appropriately. My name is Andy Gabriel. I am an extension of the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives as a non-staff. Please put your hands together for me. That clap for me cannot be for Andy, please. Let me also mention that because of the fact that the Speaker is gender sensitive, he has also brought something that I'm going to be working with. And what microphone has put together, let no one put asunder. I recognize my dear sister, Adefunke Jayesimi.
Distinguished guests, esteemed lawmakers, honorable members of the National Assembly, ministers represented and present, special guests and fellow participants, I'm honored to stand here before you all as the co-host to the inaugural Speakers New Media Exchange 2025. And today, it's a great honor as we together will embark on this journey, connecting leaders and inspiring change. So I'm honored to stand with you. I'm not sure you're paying any dowry from here, but whatever happens is fine.
The Speaker is very capable of doing that for us as a surprise. So just let that be for now. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the goal for this initiative is actually to foster genuine connection between leadership and the people, dismantling the long-held notion of the National Assembly being distant and aloof. To this end, the event has been designed to engage and to also make it very participatory and reflective of the new and more inclusive approach that the new media and the media partners and legislators have to play to shaping democracy in Nigeria. It is without much ado, therefore, that we'd like to quickly, at this point in time, in the absence of the man whom we had actually penciled down to give us the welcome, I'll be inviting a staff of the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, whose office, so to speak, has been able to weather the storm to bring this, and I'm talking about the SA New Media, to the Speaker. Joe Simi Olabami Gianito, legendary Joe, to please come forward with the welcome remarks. Please a warm round of applause for him. Can we make it even louder than that for him? Very forward-looking gentleman. Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah, good evening. Our father, leader, and boss, Right Honorable Speaker Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GCON. I'll be speaking very informally. This is new media, is it not? And the influencers and the young minds in the house, please let me hear your voice. Say Inyan Zazao. Inyan Zazao. The speaker is the first in my reckoning to allow an interaction between the office of the speaker and the members of the social media community. You know, previous leaders understand how volatile that social media space is. So they will avoid you guys when I know the year word. You can twist narrative and spin good intentions into what we then have to apologize for. But the speaker take risk, does he not? He's ready to interact with you people, bring you close to government, and make you understand that even though uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, you have been given the opportunity to also have an idea of what obtains here. Mr. Speaker, the young ones here are glad to have been invited, to give me the opportunity to interact with you. Many of them coming into this vicinity for the very first time. And while getting their invitation, it was clear that you were the first to coin the word People's House to represent the House of Representatives. The idea behind that, I believe, is to ensure that the gap, or the perceived gap, between the leaders and the led, the government and the governed, is breached. Today, sitting in this hall with the speaker, you then can pour your mind to him, saying, okay, we are here with you, this is what we want. And that is why we have divided the conversation into segments. We have the cluster conversation where youths and members of the digital space, along with the lawmakers, will sit over a table to have a tete-a-tete, to have an in-depth conversation around the theme, smart cities and ethical media, whereby you can then from that conversation raise a bill, which then present to the office, to the institution. And then the speaker would have the opportunity or will honor us by adopting that bill as is and elevating it in plenary when House resumes. So for the first time, my friends, the citizens will be directly in this perspective and this magnitude be sponsoring a bill. I believe the speaker deserves So, if you must know the speaker, how to cancel other engagement he has, domestic to be here today, because he values his relationship with the young minds. And I must say this because I know how volatile the social media is. Mr. Speaker, many of those present here today amongst the influencers are coming here out of their patriotic duty to Nigeria. None of them, not one, is doing it as a money-making venture or as a means to become as clout-chasing mechanism. They are here in respect to your officer and for love for country and their duty to nation. Thank you once again, and I welcome you to the People's House.
Can I call for yet another round of applause for the SA to the Speaker on New Media? Thank you, and thank you very much indeed. I recognize the presence of Honorable Akin Alabi, Honorable Cyril Hart, Honorable Fiona Godwin, Honorable Dr. Pascal Agbodike. The five of you or so, please ask to remain so that you'll join the interactive session with both participants and also take questions that are very relevant to the conversations that we have here. But I then recognize the presence of the Chief of Staff to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Professor I'd like to recognize Professor Jake Den Azumi. A round of applause for him, and the Deputy Chief of Staff, Honorable Chamberlain. We'd like to welcome you. Please, there are more names coming for us for recognition. We'd like to just quickly run through those lists very quickly. Time is of the essence. Honorable Salisu Garba Koko, we also want to welcome you. Please, a warm round of applause for him.
Hello. Okay, so to engage the speaker today, we have a list of sorted influencers that would be relating to the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what the young people are saying across all digital platforms. So I would like you to please signify if you are here. First on my list is Honorable Sheyi Lawrence Aletile, popularly known as Sheyi Law. I also have on my list Mohammed Jamal at White Nigeria. Mr. Awosoya Shegun. Okay. I have Ortega Ogra, SSA to the President on Digital Media. I have my list. Abraham Great is one of our speakers. Please join me to welcome Dr. Joe Abba. Tio Abu. Mr. Emmanuel Ume, Babatunde Kudus, Mary Ajayi Taiwo, Bonegun Ololade Olashupo.
Please just keep clapping for
John
them,
Fanny
please.
Mokun, David Sin Ofo, James Aton Okezie, Adewale Adedayo, Abdullah Ayofe, Abdullahi Otaki, Buhari Sani Ahmed, Amina Abdullah, Jamiu Julius Adebayo, Mr. Jobril Gawat, Fatai Olamilekon Olajide, Abubakar Dangaladima, Barrister Aisha Ahmed Muhammad, Akinwale Tosin Ronke, Adeyemi Adewoye Olukunle, Oluremi Rama Ashekun, Akinwale Akin, Bolaji Lawal Michael, Ada Anambra, Kayode Okikiolu Bodo, Dada Olusegun, and finally on my list is Yemisi Ajayi. A round of applause, please, for them.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the convener of this program, Speaker, House of Representatives. At this point in time, would like to take some very brief remarks. And because we're looking at our time, would like to please crave an indulgence of every one individual that we're going to be given this opportunity to speak, to please stand on the already established protocol so that we do not dwell too much on the protocol for want of time. We invite very quickly our very first speaker that is going to be giving us his brief remarks to commemorate the commencement of this program, and he is none other than Dr. Joe Abba, OON. Dr. Joe Abba, OON is a governance and institutional reforms expert and country director, DAI Nigeria. Please, a round of applause for him as he comes forward. We quite do have citation, but of course, because of time, I'd like to please plead with all of you to understand with us. So we'll keep your citations pretty very brief, or none at all. We'll just read out your designation and what you do for a living. Please do join us in welcoming the former Director General, Bureau of Public Service Reforms, Nigeria. A round of applause for him, please.
Thank you. Sure. Right Honorable Speaker, sir, members of the House of Reps, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be speaking about balancing freedom of speech against national interests. The tension between freedom of speech and national interests has subsisted for centuries. Many philosophers have applied their minds to trying to find a balance between the two. John Stuart Mill's essential for humans to be truly free, and that all opinions, including unpopular opinions, should be allowed to be freely expressed. However, he also believed that that freedom should be constrained when it has the potential to do harm to others. By the freedom of speech of those newspaper. Moved the motion for Nigeria's independence was the editor of several newspapers, including Zek's West African Pilots. As a tool for propaganda, many media houses and journalists were like the fight against colonialism, dissent and media were also the key instruments. Media were also the key instruments in ending military rule. Newspapers like The Guardian and The Punch, magazines like Newswatch and Tell, and radio stations like Radio Kudirat and Radio Freedom all contributed to resisting authoritarianism and advocating for democracy. From independence, the 1960 Constitution guaranteed freedom of expression. This was reinforced in the 1979 Constitution, and Section 39(1) of the 1999 Constitution states that every person shall be entitled to freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart ideas and information without interference. Freedom of expression in Nigeria has been reinforced by other instruments such as the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and the International Covenant on Civil Rights. Efforts have been made throughout Nigeria's history to circumscribe those constitutional freedoms. The Obscene and Harmful Publications Act of 1961 limits that freedom that can be used even before the advent of the internet and social media. The Official Secrets Act of 1962, which limits what can publicly be disclosed by government officials, and the Freedom of Information Act 2011 provides exceptions to what information of government. The Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act gives security agencies wide powers to prosecute anyone that they deem to be a terrorist with little or no judicial oversight. The Nigerian Communications Commission Act of 2003 empowers agencies such as the police and the State Security Service to lawfully intercommunication. According to Akikumi, the Nigerian Communications Commission heralded the beginning of digital communication through the use of SMS. Early Nigeria included Hi5, MySpace from about the year 2004. And I expect that some here are perhaps a bit too young to remember that. From about 2007, Facebook was the dominant social media platform in Nigeria. Twitter started to gain prominence from about 2010, alongside Instagram, WhatsApp, and YouTube. Currently, many traditional media outlets rely on social media for their news, given the immediacy and cost-effectiveness of crowdsourcing information that social media enables. Since the transition to democratic rule in 1999, Nigeria has experienced several forms of suppression of the freedom of expression, despite constitutional guarantees and several international conventions that Nigeria has signed up to. The federal government banned Twitter use in Nigeria from June 2021 to January 2022 for taking down the tweets of President Buhari. Citizens are often arrested for protesting against government actions and policies, and the violent suppression of the peaceful EndSARS protest was, to my mind, an attack on the freedom of expression of Nigeria youth. I'm told our time is up, but I want to quote His Royal Majesty, the Emir of Kano, when he said, when you have brought me all this far to talk, you must let me talk. So I'll plead the speaker and members of the audience to just quickly run through the rest of my paper. I was told I had 10 minutes. In 2015, the National Assembly enacted the Cyber Crimes Act, and Section 24(1)A of that act says that any person who knowingly or intentionally sends a message or other matter by means of a computer system or network that is grossly offensive, pornographic, or indecent, obscene, or menacing has committed an offense and shall be liable to punishment. Section 24(1)B was even worse, because he said if you send any messages for the purposes of causing annoyance or inconvenience, among other things, you've also committed an offense. If I sent this paper now to anyone and for any reason it caused offense or annoyance to the speaker, I'm liable to be arrested. However, the ECOWAS court ruled in 2012 that that section was arbitrary, vague, and repressive, and ordered Nigeria to repeal it. The National Assembly repealed it of 2024. The Obscene Publications Act of 1961 is still in force, as is the Official Secrets Act of 1962, which was not repealed by the Freedom of Information Act 2011. The Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022 is still in force, in addition to laws on criminal defamation, sedition, and libel. For instance, Section 373 of the Criminal Code makes it an offense to say anything that exposes another person to hatred, contempt, or ridicule. And this section is used and abused by the police, basically to harass people who have a different opinion from big men. On the other hand, despite Immanuel Kant saying that citizens have a moral duty to use their freedom of expression responsibly, not every citizen has been responsible, particularly in their use of social media. The anonymity that being online can provide enables irresponsible citizens to publish fake and inciting news. And that's why some attempts have been made to introduce a social media bill that would constrain some of that freedom of speech. Okay. So the question remains, which is the question we've had from the beginning of time. How do we balance freedom of expression against national interest, especially in this era of fake news and divisive incitement? I must pause here to commend Mr. Speaker for instituting this Speaker's New Media Exchange 2025. And I think that instituting this platform itself starts to answer that question of how we should balance expression of interest, expression of freedom of expression, and national interest. Do we need a new social media act? My answer is no. I think we have enough laws that we can use to constrain hate speech and fake news. Apart from the Cyber Crimes Act, we have acts of the National Communications Commission, the National Broadcasting Commission, Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, and others that can be used to regulate free speech. As an example, a recent song by Idris Abdul Karim was banned by the NBC for reasons that are difficult to justify. One is acutely aware of the damaging effects of fake news and hate speech. The Rwanda genocide that led to the deaths of some 1 million people was greatly influenced by the use of media, particularly the dissemination of propaganda and hate speech. So, what could we do? I recommend 6 things. I think we should strengthen the collaboration between the National Assembly, government agencies and media organizations and civil society to tackle fake news. And this event that the Speaker has put together is a very good start, which should be broadened to include a wider stakeholder base, not just people that are supporting the government in power. Governments in Nigeria have traditionally been woeful at communicating with citizens. Government communication is often reactive, late, and incomplete, leading to a trust deficit with citizens. I recommend that both the executive and the legislature should do more to be proactive, open, and speedy in providing information and engaging with the public. This will help to curb fake news. Governments, including the National Assembly, should proactively encourage fact-checking by the media, civil society, and citizens. We should embrace artificial intelligence and machine learning, which can also help to detect and prevent the spread of misinformation. We should promote professionalism and self-regulation by traditional media organizations and engage the owners of these platforms, such as Facebook, X, and Instagram, to take more seriously their regulation of their own platforms. We should repeal the part of the criminal code that allows for criminal defamation and revise and update libel laws and procedures to make it easier to sue for libel and obtain relief. At the moment, many see suing for libel as a waste of time because of how long it takes for the courts to come to a view. In conclusion, and in the spirit of consultation to avert fake news about what this Speaker's New Media Engagement 2025 will be about, I asked people on X what I should say when I come here. 34,000 people viewed the post, and 721 people offered ideas. They mentioned three main things. One, that we need a new constitution, and that the process of developing a new constitution will make it easier to dialogue about the kind of country we really want and what we are willing individually and collectively to sacrifice to get that country that we want. Many believe that this cannot be done through successive amendments to the 1999 Constitution. Two, that they would like the electronic voting equipment installed in the National Assembly to be used so that constituents can see what their representatives are voting for. Many cannot understand how it is possible to accurately get two-thirds majority on key constitutional matters like state of emergency with a voice vote. Three, that the legislature should not just be a rubber stamp for executive action. People want more scrutiny by the National Assembly and want them to demand more accountability from the executive arm. I thank you for the opportunity to exercise my freedom of expression at this National Assembly today, 28th April 2025. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That was quite a remark, but I think it sounded to me more like a keynote address. Please can we put our hands together for Dr. Joaba OON one more time. Thank you very much. We want to move on very quickly, but we do want to recognize very quickly the presence of Honorable Zakaria Dauda Nyampa, Member House of Representatives, and of course the representative of the Honorable Minister for Youth Development, Honorable Ayodele Olawande, is represented here by another comrade, Comrade Dotun Omoni. Please, a round of applause for him. We thank you very much for finding time to join us. Another Deputy Chief of Staff to the Speaker is also here, Honorable Balarabe. We also want to appreciate you. Please, let's move on with the rest of our programs, but please, as you come up to speak, do kindly observe that for want of time, we have asked everyone to please rest on the already established protocol. And then, of course, please summarize your thoughts within 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Next to speak on this great stage this evening is Abraham Great. He is the founder and CEO, Great Dynasty Group Global Limited, leading businesses in strategy, publishing, and technology. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome on stage Abraham Great.
Thank you very much. And standing on the existing protocol, I want to say that the speech by Dr. Joaba should actually be a presentation to Mr. Speaker in written form, And I think every word of that speech means a lot to our nation. Today I'm going to be speaking on the smart cities, smart citizens, infrastructure and sports pillar of Nigerian global future. I was born in a place called Mushin. Anybody born in Mushin here? And growing up in Mushin, I spent the first 12 years of my life there. As much as people look at Mushin today, we had sports centers. I was born in the 70s, late 70s. And in the early 80s, we had where to play tennis. We had where to play football. We had where to play table tennis, as much as Mushin was at that time. And then after 12 years, I moved to Ikeja. And again, everywhere you turn in Ikeja, we had a sports center. But now I move around in Nigeria, and it's very difficult for me to find sport centers. And I want to speak to Mr. Speaker today that cities shape citizens. And we need to build more of smart cities. There are three things that I believe very seriously that builds a person. Number one is the environment. And I believe that environment constitutes 50% of what makes every one of us. The number two, I believe, is character. And I know that in environment, characters are shaped. But these days, our environment is becoming more frivolous, that people are using ideologies from different parts of the world to develop themselves or their children by themselves. Our national orientation agencies need to be up and running more and more to see that there's a lot more we need to do about developing our citizens. So I would say character will culminate about 40% of our development. And I would say, and this is arguable, that 10% is knowledge. But what we are doing in this generation is that we're doing almost 80% of knowledge. We send our children to school, but knowledge is not enough. I believe we need to build environment. We need to build community. We need to build centers where our children can burn their energies. By 2050, it is believed that 70% of Nigeria will be urbanized. How then do we plan the cities? How do we plan these areas? To the point that yesterday, and almost everywhere I see, it's only house development, house development. Rarely do you see anywhere where young people can develop. We need a bill in the House of Representatives and in the Senate that now is particular about where our environment, where young people can develop their talent. Today we celebrate young people like Victor Osimhen, Victor Boniface, and the rest of them. But when they tell their story, we should be ashamed. It doesn't have to be everybody who become great from our country that has to come from the slum. We can actually build cities and infrastructure. When you travel to France or you travel to the UK or the US, now what they do, they don't even build bricks any longer. They bring in like a tent into a place. So every constituency has this tent where young children can learn basketball, where young children can learn football, where young children can learn to play snookers. And I think we need, I'm recommending here, if possible, I'm just going to jump because of time, that we need positive shift in three areas. Number one, Smart City Incentive Act. We need to come up with a bill that eventually becomes an act that supports tech-driven garden, houses, tents, canopies, all over Nigeria, where our young people can be trained in different kind of sport. This will help them to burn their energy, not just on, what do we call it on social media again? When we fight one another, is dragging. Not just using our energies for dragging, we can use our energy for a lot more development. Number two, youth and sport infrastructural bill. National funds should be made available to maintain sport hubs in local government areas. Imagine that all the local governments, about 7,000 some that we have in this country, imagine that we can have a sports center in those areas. We can better develop our youth. And finally, I'm recommending Digital Urban Planning Act, maintaining smart city blueprint in smart level planning, meaning that every community that has been planned, that is going to be planned, that has not been planned, we need to sit down again around a policy, around a bill or an act that will reshape our community. I want to thank you once again for this opportunity to give the speech, and I pray that these recommendations will become implementation. Thank you. It is working.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for him, please. Actually, very businesslike from your end.
Exactly.
Yes, taking into cognizance the time that we have on our hands for this very laudable program. And this actually speaks to the theme for this very roundtable organized by the Office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Smart Cities and Ethical Media, Navigating the Role of Policy in National Development. That is exactly what he has just done for us. We thank you very much for that. Honorable Steve Fatoba would like to appreciate your presence, and you're also advised to stay back so you can interact with the youth and especially the new media influencers, as well as Honorable Nasir Adegboyega Isiaka. Please, all of you honorable members, the Honorable Speaker has asked that you all remain with the youth so you can engage with them a lot better. I'd like to recognize the representative of the Minister of Interior, represented at this event by his Special Advisor on Strategy and Innovation, Professor Mukhtar Abdul Kader. Please, let's welcome him with a round of applause, please. Now, very quickly, we have decided to adjust the program a little bit such that the convener will speak to us and speak to some of our thoughts that have been raised already. And in the course of all that, he'll take 3 questions after his speech to also declare this very important event open for us to then continue with the conversations. And so in the light of that, I'd like to, first of all, ask that we watch the LED screens, and there is a brief citation of Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives before we invite him over to the podium. Please, ladies and gentlemen, I told you that the Speaker is a man of very many firsts, and this is another great first from the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Can we therefore give him a big round of applause? Watch the electronic citation. Let's have it at this point.
PhD, PCUN, a prince, a scholar, a statesman. Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives, is not just a political figure. He is a compelling blend of royalty, intellect, and national service. His remarkable journey to the leadership of Nigeria's green timber is one paved with humility, excellence, and an unshakable commitment to the people of Zaria Federal Constituency, who have elected him 4 consecutive times since 2011. A humble prince of the historic Zauzau Emirate in Kaduna State, Speaker Abbas traces his royal lineage to Malam Musa, the first ever of and Abdullahi. As the Ian Zauzau, he occupies a revered traditional position, 17th in the Emirate and 6th in the Council of Kingmakers, a role that blends nobility with service. His academic and professional pedigree is equally inspiring. From the dusty classrooms of LEA Primary School in Lemu to the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University ABU, where he earned a diploma, a Bachelor of Science, and an MBA in Business Administration, Dr. Abbas epitomizes the power of knowledge. His academic pursuits culminated in a PhD in Business Management from Usmanu Danfodio University in 2010, a year before stepping into the national limelight as a lawmaker. Speaker Abbas' journey spans decades of public service, academia, and corporate leadership. From teaching in primary schools to lecturing at Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic and Kaduna State University, he has remained a proud teacher and thought leader. In the private, he proved his mettle as a general manager and area marketing manager in Nigeria's tobacco industry before returning to the classroom, a rare move that reflects his deep-rooted passion for education. In the National Assembly, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin is a name that echoes with legislative distinction. He has chaired key committees, led important ad hoc panels, and emerged as one of the most effective lawmakers in modern Nigerian history. In the 9th Assembly alone, he sponsored 74 bills, 21 of which were signed into law, a historic record that earned him the title of the Assembly's highest bill sponsor. In the 8th Assembly, he was third on that same list, a consistent legislative performer. His election as Speaker on June 13, 2023 was nothing short of historic, scoring 353 out of 359 votes. He won the overwhelming trust of his colleagues, a unifying choice in a deeply diverse chamber. Speaker Abbas is not only a lawmaker, he is a scholar with 13 published international papers, a chartered professional across multiple fields, and a respected parliamentarian on the African and global stage. He has served as the treasurer of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association African Region, a governing council member of NILDS, and chaired numerous subcommittees on constitutional reforms. He has been praised as a legislative role model, a silent achiever, an unsung hero of the 9th Assembly, and a man of uncommon intellect and integrity. Calm, yet firm. Measured, yet impactful. Quiet, yet influential. Above all, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin is a unifier, a man whose life and leadership transcend tribe, region, and religion. He embodies the essence of a pan-Nigerian statesman, focused, detribalized, patriotic, and profoundly rooted in service. A prince by birth, a teacher by passion, a lawmaker by calling, and a leader by distinction. This is Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GCON. Meet Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you this quintessential leader for his remarks at this function. Please, ladies and gentlemen, do join me in welcoming the Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GCON, Ian Zazzle, the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives, for his remarkable speech. Can we please put that hands together for him one more time before he takes over the stage? Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Speaker, sir.
Please consider, please. Thank you. The Right Honorable members of the House of Representatives present here. There is one member who could remember that has not been recognized by the MC, Honorable Jega. Please accept our apology. The representative of Minister of Aviation, Mr. Moshood Tunde, the SSA to the President of Media, Mr. Ortega Ogra, the ES of the National Assembly Library Trust Fund, our dear brother, Honorable Henry Nwamba, heads of agencies and departments of government present here, representative of NELFON, in person of Mr. Nasir Ayitogo, the Chief of Staff to Honorable Speaker and other staff from the Office of Mr. Speaker, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. It is a distinct privilege to address you at the Speaker's New Media Exchange 2025, an unprecedented engagement designed to formalize the dialogue between the Nigerian Parliament and the dynamic community of digital actors. Today's session marks a seminal moment. It is the first structured interaction with social media influencers at the highest legislative level, recognizing their significant contributions to the democratic enterprise and shaping national discourse. In a nation whose demographic composition is overwhelmingly youthful, and where digital platforms have become central to information exchange, advocacy, and civic engagements, it is both strategic and necessary to forge this partnership. The significance of this collaboration is underscored by compelling data. Nigeria's digital landscape has expanded rapidly, with approximately 38.7 million active social media users as of 2025, representing 16.3% of the national population and marking a 5.3% increase from the previous year. Platforms such as Facebook and TikTok dominate usage, with more than 38.7 million and 37.4 million users, respectively. While YouTube, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, also commanding substantial followings. Research further indicates that 94.87% of Nigerian internet users follow online influencers, with nearly half engaging with more than 10 influencers regularly. Moreover, Nigerians rank 5th globally in average daily time spent on social media, dedicating approximately 3 hours and 23 minutes each day. These figures attest to the unrivaled capacity of digital platforms to shape public opinion, influence consumer behavior, and drive civic engagement. It is therefore evident that meaningful partnership with the digital community is not optional, but essential to building a more participatory democracy in Nigeria. The legislative agenda of the 10th House of Representatives rests on a fundamental commitment to deepen public participation in governance. Our aspiration is to build a parliament that is accessible, transparent, responsive, and firmly anchored in the aspirations of all Nigerians. To this end, we have expanded channels of engagement through live stream plenary sessions, constituency dialogues, the annual Open National Assembly Week, dedicated all to access and inclusion, and now purposeful engagement with the digital ecosystem. Beyond these initiatives, the House is pursuing reforms that foreground the rights of persons living with disabilities, promote the inclusion of marginal communities, and advance the political participation of women through constitutional amendment processes. Our democracy must be measured not merely by its procedures, but by its inclusiveness. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you are pivotal agents in the contemporary information environment. Your platforms serve as a vital conduit for citizen engagements, policy interpretation, and the cultivation of public consciousness. the House has demonstrated its commitments to innovation and youth empowerment through legislations such as the Nigerian Startup Act, which fosters an enabling environment for technology entrepreneurs, and the Nigerian Data Protection Act, which safeguards digital rights. We continue to uphold the Freedom of Information Act as an instrument for transparency. We have expanded opportunities for youth inclusion through initiatives like the Legislative Mentorship Initiative, the biannual youth town hall meetings, and enhanced budgetary support for youth development programs in the 2025 budget. Furthermore, the establishment of the House Committee on Youth and the House Committee on Youth in Parliament underscores our resolve to institutionalize youth participation in our National Assembly activities. Today's engagement under the theme, Smart Cities and Ethical Media, navigating the role of policy in national development, invites a critical reflection on the intersection of governance, innovation, and responsible communication. Our discussions will interrogate issues such as the legislative response to digital responsibility, strategies for countering disinformation, the promotion of national values within the digital space, and the role of public policy in shaping smart infrastructure and sport development. A highlight of this exchange will be the participation of a cross-section of young Nigerians in a simulated legislative process. Through this exercise, we intend to make the parliamentary process more transparent and relatable, affirming that governance must be both participatory and comprehensible. We are not unmindful of the challenges posed by misinformation, digital security threats, and the misuse of online platforms. Nonetheless, our approach shall remain rooted in dialogue, education, and constructive engagement, rather than censorship or coercion. Today, I extend an earnest invitation for enduring collaboration. It is crucial that we work together to strengthen public understanding of governance, to build resilience against misinformation, to provide civic education, and to harness digital platforms for national cohesion and progress. By forging this alliance between Parliament and the digital community, we are moving closer to the ideal of an informed, inclusive, and resilient democracy. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to commend your presence here today and your unwavering contributions to the democratic process. It is now my honor to declare the Speaker's New Media Exchange 2025 officially open. May God bless you all. May God bless the National Assembly. May God bless the social media influencers. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Can we give the speaker a standing ovation and keep the clap coming? Thank you very much. Momentarily, please take your seats. The speaker will also take his seat briefly, and then, of course, there will be a few questions for him from the influencers and participants. Please be seated. Thank you very, very much. But this is what we're going to do. The first thing we'll be doing is that we are not too familiar with the influencers. But hold on, please. Your Excellency, sir.
Distinguished honorable colleagues, I have another appointment now. But please, I want to implore you to stay around, don't even follow me. Stay here, dialogue with our guests, contribute your quota, defend the interests of the National Assembly. I think if you do that to me, I'll appreciate very well. Please, let us continue this program unhindered after my exit. Please, I beg you all. Thank you so much, and I wish you happy deliberation. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Do have a great day. Because of the exigencies of his office, the Speaker won't be able to stay with us till the very end. But please, can we have a group photograph? The Honorable Speaker, sir. Yes, sir. We'll take the photograph. Yes. I think we should take it at the foyer. Okay, yes. Let's take it here. Let's take the pictures here. Please, let's do this very quickly. The order of photograph, just listen. Hello, one house, please. One house.
One house, please. One house,
The
please.
order of photograph, the Speaker with the resource persons. After this, it will be the Speaker with the resource persons. Honorable members, ministers, representatives. Some of you can come on the stage. Some of you can come on the stage.
Some of you can come on stage, please.
We will invite the
enough space
influencers
here.
afterwards.
After this, we'll take the influencers.
Honorable Fatou Banko, yes. Dr. Joe. Maybe here. Dr. Joe, maybe here. All right, please, the influencers, just wait. We'll bring you up. We'll bring you up. Just wait. After this, with the members of the House of Representatives, the influencers will then be invited to take their turn with the Speaker.
Right.
Influencers and the Speaker. Dr. Joe, you can join the Speaker downstairs. Influencers and the Speaker. We want to be very orderly about this. Please kindly bear with us. Ortega, please don't. Let's just wait because I know you'll take your turn. Yes, sir. The cameras are behind you. Honorable Chamberlain Dukwe. Honorable Chamberlain and ES. The cameras are behind you, please.
The influencers, please.
Honorable Ndukwe, Honorable Chamberlain. Some of you influencers can come up to the stage.
Easy, please. Some of the influencers, please come up on stage.
And we like to also enjoin the honorable members, just as the Speaker did plead with you, please stay with us till the very end. Thank you. All right, photographers, please. Legendary Joe, we're taking pictures. Thank you,
All right,
and thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go back to your seats now.
Please, honorable
Careful.
colleagues, I will stay back until you are all seated before I take my exit. So all honorable colleagues, please sit down. Our invited guests, please take your seats.
Please take your seats.
Take your seats, please. Our invited guests, please. Let's all go back to our seats, please. Aisha.
Let's go back to our seats, please. The Honorable Speaker is begging us. Influencers, please, let's go back to our seats.
Honorable Ishaka, you will be the monitor.
Please, can we pay attention to what is going on? Honorable members,
Where is
please take your
Honorable
seats.
Akin?
Yes.
Akin. Honorable Akin. Akin Alabi, come and take my seat.
Executive Secretary, ES, please come and take your seat, sir. Honorable members, can we take our seats, please, briefly?
Honorable
Honorable
Boyega,
Alabi.
you are the monitor. You report, eh? Take over my seat. Okay.
Honorable members, can we please take our seats? Honorable Yang, please let's take our seats, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, please be seated. Security operatives, can you stand aside for now? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very
we
much,
wish you
sir.
well. Thank you very much. Thank you. The Speaker has insisted that members should please be seated and stay with us till the very end of his exercise, please. Can we take our seats, please? Honorables. Thank you very much. Legendary Joe, your attention is needed by the Chief of Staff. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Very distinguished honorable members, Senior Special Assistant to President Tinubu on New Media will be, at this point in time, giving us his thoughts by way of giving us his remarks. But please, just as we said before, Otegra, please join us. And please keep protocol. Can we please applaud the SA New Media to the President of Nigeria?
Thank you. Good evening. The 70%. What's the need for us? What does the National Assembly, and most importantly, the People's House, have for us? How can we translate policy into action, policy into prosperity for young people, policy into a long-term future that young people, can be proud to say, okay, this is what you've bequeathed to us, and this is what we can give our children. And I have just 5 different areas on building fields, building future, why infrastructure and policy should shape the soul of Nigeria. And there's a famous African proverb which says, a city without a playground is a city without a future. In Nigeria, without smart sporting facilities, in Nigeria without smart cities, in the real sense of the word, is a Nigeria without a soul and a Nigeria without a future. And this truth is as old as civilization itself. When we speak of smart cities, most people do not think of sports infrastructure. And we can see it from the bills that have been passed. We can see it in the policies that are being pushed. Where is the sports infrastructure? Even if it's mass housing, where do you expect the children of the parents that were putting in those houses to have some places to move around, to play, to live healthy lives, so that they can contribute better to the country? We're speaking about hope. And this kind of hope is hope that is going to be engineered into concrete, into fiber optic cables. We're talking about our identity, our prosperity, and we must build this brick by brick, policy by policy, advocacy to you, advocacy to ourselves, and all that. And if we do get it right, we build this Nigeria that endures for life. My first question, which I wrote down, is infrastructure natural character? Or let me correct it, let me write it better. Is smart infrastructure national character? Yes, it is. Infrastructure is housing. It's not the bridges and all that. That's what infrastructure is. It's broadband running through every neighborhood. It's multipurpose sporting venues. It's community sporting venues. You know, doubling as community hubs. Doubling as places our young people can go and work remotely and contribute to those policies that Mr. President is putting in place. It's energy efficient sporting facilities. Thanks, who own sporting clubs already. You know, we are building the next talent of sports people for us as a country. And Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing the National Broadband Plan, which also seeks to ensure that there's broadband in 774 local governments of this country. The question we should be asking you, the questions we expect the members of the House to ask agency heads, is how are they integrating these policies into the long-term future of young people? You can build everything you're building now, you can put all the right policies in place without taking care of us in a way that secures our future for the next 50 years. We will fail as a nation. So that's something that we must put in mind when we're talking. Sorry, it's a bit hot here. Can I get a tissue or something? Thank you. You know, and things like the National Smart Initiative, Smart Cities Initiative, the renewal of cities are promising first moves. But the smartness of a city, like I wrote in my questions, is it's not the number of sensors it installs, it's the quality of opportunities it can create. And smart cities must be built with 3 questions in mind. 1, does that infrastructure make life better for the ordinary Nigerian? Does it unleash new industries, especially for our youth? And does it connect our communities and not divide us? You know, and this is why I might deviate from the first speaker and also Mr. Speaker, where it says we do not need proper regulation for a space that we are lagging behind in terms of regulation. During the last National Assembly, when they tried to pass the social media bill, I was in the private sector then, and I was monitoring comments and everything. 70% or so of the comments that were coming up were from sponsored pages. And we looked at the times that a lot of this content were coming up. Many of them came up between the times of 12 midnight to 4, 5 a.m. By 8 a.m., when the full mass of Nigerians had come up to start challenging these bills, the people who put up a lot of those comments deleted it. And the same thing happened during NSAS. We see the flow of money, sponsoring things that, you know, affect our sovereignty as a nation. Being sponsored, and permit me to speak freely, please. You know, being sponsored by third parties, sponsored by, you know, other countries in the name of freedoms. But we also know freedoms are not very absolute. I might never get the opportunity to speak to members of the House or the Senate again, but I think this is a very good time to do so. So before you come up with such a policy next time, educate. Let people know the why. When we were having the protest last year, you know, people were saying, oh, this is what happens in the West. Then it happened in a Western country. What happened? Till today, they are picking people from their houses for posts made online. That is the reality of a space that is totally unregulated. We must put in some measures to ensure that things don't go out of hand. Every day we see Yorubas fighting Igbos, Igbos fighting Yorubas, Hausas fighting non-Hausas and co. Nigeria is one country, and we should be indivisible under the Constitution. Where is it? Which? So, one thing that can help us change this is sports. Sports must be hardwired into everything we do as a country.
You know, a stadium is not a place to just play football. A stadium, for instance, no matter how small it is, guarantees the health of young people who use them. You have healthier young people going to work. You have healthier young people doing what they love to do best. Imagine a Nigeria where every Nigerian urban renewal project includes a free youth sports academy, a track and field arena, you know, wired with 5G, where they can go walk after they finish on the field, and a smart gym in every city. You would have more 100-level Odol winners. You'd have more Nigerians playing professional amateur basketball and football. And I'm happy that I'm seeing some young people also putting, you know, advisory services in place. Prior to joining the government, and my very good friend and brother, who is there, Honorable El Rufai, his wife has a sports agency, and what they do is seek for ways to build infrastructure across this country in places that the government cannot reach. That is important. So you must look for ways to help us to do these things. You know, and it's called SWA Sports. But the biggest problem or the biggest issue we have is that policy still lags. You know, there's no binding legislation mandating sports inclusion in new buildings, in new cities, in new things we're doing. There's the National Sports Act, which was signed. But how do you hardwire that into the things that guarantee our future as youth? So if you have to look at it again and review that policy, please do. There's also no harmonized incentive framework for the private sector to invest in sports. I listened to the chairman of the National Sports Commission, Sheo Diko, and he has those things in plan and in play. Help us adjust legislation to give them the powers to do that. Sports is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and Nigeria can benefit from it. And I'm happy that this first meeting, convened by the Right Honorable Speaker, is being held here, because you need to hear it as much as we and the communities we represent of the people here need it. And because these things are not there, what are the results? We're building isolated mega projects, isolated mega cities, new estates, where no child can wake up in the evening and say they want to take a walk, they want to run, you know, they want to train to be the next world best swimmer or something. That needs to be thought of. We must legislate smarter. And I listed 3 bills that I think we can fix, or 3 gaps that I think we can fix immediately. 2 more minutes, please. One, infrastructure management bill, which will require all government projects above thresholds to integrate digital, green, sports-friendly designs. The second one is a national youth wellness initiative, you know, which I intend, or the National Assembly should look at making sports safe parks for working, for just living a regular life, and facilities mandated in every city in Nigeria. And the third one is the sector sports acts, which should give holidays to companies like Rebel Alliance, you know, whilst it was in the sector, that build sports facilities or put in infrastructure in place. Without smart cities will always be a slogan. I want to imagine Nigeria in the next 10, 15 years, you know, where Lagos will be a digital for esports, a Kano whatever we need to do in terms of initiatives. And Enugu should be leading. I mean, they have all the water, they have all the soil to build proper sports facilities that's solar powered and sustainable. The half measures is every city, every 19 city that would do today, or that will fail to correct design now, you know, us in the future, in the next 50 years. Many people will be around at that time, but you put your names in gold when you support us in doing this. If you build cities without sports, we build sick, sedentary societies for our young people, for us, the 70%. If you build cities without connectivity, we're going to build isolated ghettos. And if we build cities without the foresight, which House has shown that they have, we're going to be building further liabilities and not the legacies that you think you want to leave. I urge every legislator here, everybody in our space, every builder, every private sector person, every dreamer in Nigeria, we must build policy frameworks that bake in sports and smartness from the foundation up. We must demand that sports infrastructure is seen as economic infrastructure and not entertainment. That's a mistake the older generation looks at when they look at us. And finally, we must invest in smart cities where youthful energy is not just contained, but channeled, scaled, and celebrated. When history looks back, let it not be that, oh, they didn't inherit their future. We want to tell them that you helped us to engineer that future for young people. We don't want to hear that Nigeria didn't dream that, oh, you helped us to build where the champions of tomorrow start to grow. Let us all write this destiny in a way that builds us fields and builds us futures. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are your hands tired already? Thank you very much, Ortega Ogre. You've really iced the cake for us. But just before we move into the cluster conversations, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite the Executive Secretary of the National Assembly Trust Fund, Right Honorable Henry Dochukwu Nwauba, to quickly speak to the conversations we're about to have. And after that, instead of breaking out to the different meeting rooms for the cluster conversations, we'll all remain here. And then, of course, we can have this conversation together. I think the more the merrier. And that will also help us chart the way forward. Please, a round of applause for the Executive Secretary, Right Honorable Henry Nwauba.
Is it on? Yes. Thank you very much. And I'd like to stand on the well-established protocol before the speaker left to join my voice to those that have spoken before me in welcoming you to the Center for Debates and Dialogue, the National Assembly Library Trust Fund. Just like the theme for today, Catalyst for Change, we are a catalyst for legislative excellence in Africa. So I'm happy and delighted to welcome you to this facility, and particularly on the topic, using the media policy, smart cities, and ethical media, navigating the role of policy in national development. I'd written a goodwill message before Mr. Speaker left, but permit me to just say a few words on the reasons why we're here. How many of us in the space remember what happened in Lagos in December 2024? There was a period of about 2 weeks, 14 days, when the whole world converged in Lagos in what was termed then Dirty December. As practitioners in the space, you know better than I do that Lagos State realized over 200 billion naira within 10 days. Every country has a unique selling point. I think with the emerging changes that we're seeing in Nigeria today, it is obvious that the entertainment industry, fashion, and so on and so forth, constitute a major selling point for this country. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? And so what are we doing? We're talking about national development. The other day, I had the privilege to visit Rwanda, and tourism alone constituted or provided that country with over 1 trillion naira income in 2024. This year, they have targeted to realize and rake in over $700 million from tourism. if you want to develop Nigeria, you have a role to play with what you put out to the rest of the world. National development is not only when we come out with a strategic plan for infrastructure, for health, for road, and all of that. No, we, the people, have a collective assignment in this regard. So I welcome you most sincerely to our facility. This is a library and a resource center. We do have so many other resources that I encourage you to come in whenever you have the time. We run an open door policy. As long as you can get into the National Assembly, you can use this facility. So without taking much of your time, I will join you in taking part in this dialogue, in this conversation. Take notes, and I assure you that we shall be turning the words into action. Welcome to the National Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you very much, the Executive Secretary of the National Assembly Library Trust Fund. Honorable members, please, can you come to the front row? Those of you at the back, and representative of the ministers, please, let's occupy the front row. New media practitioners, you're all expected, because we have decided to hold this interaction here, the interactive session. Hello? Now, we're going to read out the names of the new media influencers. You already know yourselves that there might be no need for us to read those names out. But the thing is this is an open house. So it is open to all and sundry. So you can ask your questions that you would want to see, or issues that you want to see reflect on the bill, the proposed bill, so that the response can also come from the honorable members of the House of Representatives that are seated here. So in no particular order, but we want to be very orderly about the way we go about this. So please, even the honorable ministers, representatives are at liberty to also ask questions, please, if you do have any. So we'll throw it open. It's an open house. But of course, to conduct this aspect of the this segment of the program for us, it will be my joy to invite the moderator who will be facilitating that for us, Mr. Okikiolu. Kayode Okikiolu, please, if you're here, please join us on this side. And he's of Channels Television.
Yeah, Kayode Okikiolu to moderate this session. Please, a round of applause for him.
For those of us that knows Kayode very well, it won't be necessary for me to read out the citation because we all know him. We know what he does. He is one person that can ask questions and send confusion to even the interviewees. So for that reason, I'd like that we yield the floor to him at this point in time as a take charge of proceedings. Please, a round of applause for Kayode.
Thank you very much. Honorable members of the House of Representatives, I'll just stand on existing protocol this evening. And I want to say that it's good to finally put a face to some of the handles that have been coming for us online, right? It's great to see those faces. Thank you very much for all of the basbos that you give us from time to time. Really appreciate it. And it's also good to see some of the people I may or may not have blocked on social media. And I'm sure you've also blocked some other people, so it's good to see those people. But this evening, we're doing something very instructive, something that I expect will transform the face of governance for Nigeria in the next few years and, of course, decades to come. We're going to start with the very first cluster, and this cluster is on media and policy. I'm not going to take too much of time. The essence of this is to have a back and forth, all right? So I really hope that we're all here with our policy ideas, all right? Thank you very much. All right, so the cluster topic is patriotism in the age of clickbait. And the question is, can media and legislation align to protect national interest responsibility. And the question or the topic all right, we want to try and cover as much ground as we can. So we're going to try to expand the scope of a conversation, right? I would like to say that nothing is really off the table because we're talking governance, right? So we'll try as much as possible to stay on track. But if there are other issues that you want to bring in, absolutely, we'll try to bring it in. I'm not going to reintroduce some of the representatives present here. All right. I'm not going to reintroduce, I think we already know ourselves. So let's get right into it. And I want us to start with that media bit. We can segue into other issues. I have a few questions, a few points I noted here. Because the topic for this panel is legislating for digital responsibility, curbing fake news, and promoting patriotism in the social media era. It speaks to national interest. And my first question is, I want us to start by deciding what is our national interest as a people? Do we have a consensus on what we want Nigeria to be? And I'm going to open the floor. I want us to start from there. What is our national interest? Because I think if we don't have a purpose, if we don't have a goal we're trying to reach, then we'll just be shooting blanks, really. Everything would look like it. So I want to ask a few people, influencers in the house, new media, legacy media, even members of the House of Representatives. What is that national statement, that national ethos, that national interest that we have? Can I get the microphones, please? What is the national interest? What is our goal as a nation? What is our purpose? What do we want to make of Nigeria? The floor is open to influencers. I know you are tweeting on X and all of that, but let's make your voices count right here. I'm going to be calling names if you're shy, but I want to open the floor first. Let's know, what are we trying to make of our nation, Nigeria? Okay, I see. All right. Mr. Great's hand is up. And then Sheyi Law will come next.
This is only an opinion.
All right.
It appears to me that Nigeria has no national statement. However, from our pledge, growing up, we know about peace and unity. And it seems that we have pursued that for a while. We've not been, in some cases, we unite on some things, and we've not seen peace, neither have we seen unity. But I think from leadership, Nigeria needs to redefine what is our national value. And from the national value, we can then have a national statement. More like on the corporate world, when we have the mission statement, vision statement, the mission statement, we can then have objective. We have cliches, like Nigeria know they carry last, and what have you. But we don't seem to have something intrinsic into us as a national value that defines who a typical Nigeria is. We need to return to that place.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you for breaking the ice. Sheyi Law is next. They say that when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. So what do we want to make of this nation?
Thank you very much. My name is Sheyi Law. I was just having a side talk with the Ezemo himself, Dr. Joe Abba, and I just mentioned something that, according to what Dr. Joe said earlier, if we need to start a new process of we need to start a process of a new constitution for the nation. And maybe through that process, we can come up with a unified idea of what we want Nigeria to be. You know, maybe when we do that, then we know where we're going. And I also mentioned that I don't know why we have failed over the years to implement some of the items on the Oranstaye report and the National Confab of 2014. And so maybe when we start seeing some of these things being implemented, it will shape the idea of the kind of Nigeria that we want. And another thing is that if we want to build a better Nigeria, we must also put policies in place that will help the family unit. Growing up, the family unit defined a lot of what we became as a people. And you know, the moment we started trading values for money, and money became our value system, we lost a whole lot of new generation. And I think things needs to change. Our culture of respect that we have as a nation is fast fading. And one of the reasons why I think it's fading is because we're having leaders who don't see young people as a part of the leadership process. And these things need to change. It needs to change. And again, I probably just want to make another contribution when Mr. Ortega-Ogra was talking. Yeah. You know, aside from the fact that I'm a comedian, I'm very, very particular about the nation Nigeria. And I tell my friends a lot of the time that the reason why industrialization failed in Nigeria is because we build industry without a compensating recreational life. Without it, those industries will fail. When we were growing up in Ebute-Metta, the Nigerian Railway Corporation was well functioning because we had recreational centers in those places, and those of us who didn't even live in those places, you know, had to look for a way to sneak ourselves into those places to have fun. And we built communities with people who were not in the same school or probably with the same, you know, class, you know. And so we need to start building a new Nigeria that incorporates community. And one of the ways to do that is to have better recreational centers that can accommodate people. You know, as an entertainer who goes outside Nigeria to do events, there are community centers that are easy to access, and they are cheap. And so you see that within the community, certain entertainers are known. They might not be out there on the international stage, but they are not doing badly. But in Nigeria, I tell people, this is my 20 years in the industry. A greater part of my most, how do I put it now, functional or a greater part of my journey as an entertainer to greatness was spent cracking some of my best jokes on other people's stages, and some of my materials are not even available to myself. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. This is it. You go to a comedian show to perform, this person record, he doesn't even give you the recording, and you know, over the years we've done that, and now we've moved into a new generation where we now have comedians who go on stage and then we want to do those specials. Imagine the number of specials that I probably would have done in my life if I had a community center that afforded me the opportunity to be able to do better live performances that didn't cost me much.
All right.
And so we need to put all these things, factor all these things together to build the new Nigeria that we want to see. I'm sorry, before I drop the microphone.
You have 10 seconds.
All right. The social media space, we cannot leave the social media space just without regulation. It is not possible. The truth is, some of us speak today on social media, not because we like to speak, but because we know that the misinformation that we allow to thrive today will become the fact that our children will know tomorrow. We need to fight that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for him. Somehow you've covered both topics, the media, patriotism, and the talk about infrastructure and sports. Somehow we've not come up with that statement I'm looking for. Yes, we've talked about what we want to see. He's talked about family unit. He's even talked about the Oronsaye report. I think we have someone from the presidency here. Maybe you can give us an update on the Oronsaye report, where we are right now with the Oronsaye report implementation. He's also talked about a new constitution. He's also talked about a new constitution. So what I will do is, while we wait for the representative of the presidency to speak on the Oronsaye report, I'd like a lawmaker to speak to some of the points he has raised. A new constitution, perhaps that is when we would have a national statement. That's what he said. I would like to call on Honorable Akin Alabi. I know he's getting the much needed lubrication for his throat. But Honorable, he's raised some issues and would like to get feedback from the National Assembly. These are pressing issues. Again, you can speak to the part about social media regulation. Some will say, we have enough laws already, all right? We keep churning out new laws that deal with the same thing over and over again. So two things. The new constitution is that when we'll then get a national statement, the purpose of our nation, and then the regulation for social media, and perhaps any other point that you want to speak to. Honorable Alabi.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen. Let me say one or two things about the issue of the new constitution or not. There's nothing wrong with that.
Honorable, if you don't mind, could you come to the podium? So
they can see me from here.
No, not very well. Let's put our hands together for Honorable Akin Alabi as it comes up. It's a people's house. It's a people's man. So.
Yeah. All right. Do we need an entirely new constitution, or do we need to make amendments to the current constitution? I'm coming from this angle because when I meet a lot of people that say things like, we need a new constitution, and I ask, what don't you like about this constitution? And they go blank. I said, is there a part of it, is there a particular section you don't like that made you come to the conclusion that we need a brand new constitution? In my opinion, while it's important to have this discussion, I don't think it's the problem that we've got in this country. Amendments can be made. And if we have amendments that's more than 50% currently, it's like a brand new constitution that's become a repeal and reenactment of the constitution. So I urge young ones to actually study this document called the Constitution. It's only after you don't just join the train and the mantra of what some influencer has said somewhere that we need a new constitution. You need to be able to speak for yourself and say, this and this is what is wrong with our constitution. And is there anything you want to do at the National Assembly to correct it? And that brings me to the angle of the lawmaking process. We need to understand the lawmaking process. And that is one of the reasons why we're having this kind of event today, to have an open house, so that people can understand what we actually do at the House of Representatives. If you have an amendment idea, let me put it that way, you think a section of the Constitution is wrong, or it shouldn't be so, or it needs to be changed, there are many of us in the House that are accessible, that you can bring your constitutional amendment ideas to. And we promise you, especially if we believe in it, we agree with you, we are going to sponsor those amendments and push it to the last and make sure that this can become a law. But you have to understand that constitutional amendment is an extremely difficult process, rightly so, because this is a document that is binding on over 200 million people and generations unborn. It's not something you just sit in the room and change like that. It's going to go through a lot of processes. The first reading, second reading, public hearing. And if it's a constitutional amendment, it has to go to the state. And 2/3 of the states, how many states is 2/3 of 36 states? That's 4. 24 states must agree. So it's up to us at the National Assembly when you're talking about this constitutional matter. There are constitutional provisions that we have passed in this National Assembly. When it goes to the states used to pass it. When we understand how they work and we continue to engage each other, we can begin to move from point A to point B. But at this point, they're so much disinterested in the process, and that is where one of our major problems lie.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for the Honorable. Another Honorable wants to speak, but I'd like you to speak to the point around social media regulation. It's been said that we have enough laws already, but also more importantly is the question of our national statement. What are you trying to achieve as a lawmaker? Maybe you can give us an insight so we know where we're all going. Do you have a national statement that you look at and say, this is the Nigeria that we want to get for our people?
Thank you very much. My name is Hart Cyril Godwin. I represent the fabulous people of Bonny Degema Federal Constituency. I am from Rivers State. I would want to make a remark in respect of what the law said. In fact, he closed very well when he said that if we do not regulate the social media, that the information out there shall become the truths that our children will read. Very strong statement. About of speech. I would like to respond of the Nigerian Constitution. I'll read for the benefit of this conversation. It talks about the obligation of the mass media. The obligation of the mass media. It says the press, radio, television, and other agencies of the mass media. Unfortunately, there is no social media. It means there should be an amendment to Section 22. It said the mass media shall at all times be free to uphold the fundamental objectives contained in this chapter and uphold the responsibility and accountability of the government of the people. For you to understand this, I will read Section 23 of the Nigerian Constitution. It talks about national ethics. Now, somebody asks, I have a national interest. I will answer by saying we have national ethics. National ethics is the expectation of the behavior of Nigeria. What does it say? The national ethics shall be discipline. One, discipline. If we are disciplined Nigerians, we will not share fake news. If we are disciplined Nigerians based on our national ethics, we will not share fake news. The second says integrity. If a Nigerian has integrity, of course, it will not even generate the news in the first place for it to be shared. Dignity of labor. I listened to most of the speakers. They lay very strong emphasis on smart cities. Smart cities with the idea of having sports development in those communities. But I want to interrogate. Yes, it is good to have sporting activities. But does sports mean football? No. Sports does not mean football. I think we have to understand that fact, that sports does not mean football. So we must also look at areas of sporting activities to develop. But again, I want to interrogate further. If indeed, for us, it's about entertainment and football and soccer and all the sporting activities, who will fund? So as we are contemplating on building smart cities, let us also begin to think of how to build smart farmlands, smart way of doing agricultural products for our people to have food. Because there is a nexus between food security and national security. So I agree completely with Sheyi Law that there is a need for us to consciously regulate that media so we don't have information that are false to run with. And in closing, I have discovered that Nigerians don't vote for. They vote against. Nigerians don't vote for, they vote against. They vote out, they don't vote in. What that simply means is that they don't really care who becomes president, provided they don't like you, who vote you out. We should begin to look at how to vote in people and not vote at people. So you should care about who we want to replace with the person that is there. And social media today, in fact, the crux of this conversation is that there is need for us to have where we can fact check the news. There are a lot of things that are out there that are not true. But if we do not have the benchmark on how to fact check this news, then we're going to have a big problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Let's put our hands together for him. I noticed you said Nigeria has ethics, but is there a Nigerian dream that you want to sell to the people? And I think that has been a bit elusive, but yes, let's put our hands together again for him for that very incisive point. I need someone to help me with the mic here. There's still a few other issues we must touch on before we wind down. I need help with the microphone. I don't know if Dr. Joe Abba wants to respond to the Honorable on some of the points made, because I remember you were talking about some of the laws that already regulates, the media space. So I don't know if you want to quickly speak, Dr. Joe Abba, before we get others to speak just for about a minute or two. Oh, okay. Sorry, he's all the way back. Dr. Joe Abba.
Thank you. I know we're pressed for time, but I think what I'll do is find time to write something and send to Honorable Akin Alabi. What the process of developing a constitution will force us to a dialogue that we've been avoiding. And yes, it takes time, and it's going to take a while, and it's going to be difficult, of course. But have a right. Constitution 7 for local government denies the state ability to create local governments if they. All you are going to do is keep patching. You keep patching, and the whole ethos of the Constitution doesn't. That's why we need a new dialogue that leads to a new Constitution. The 2024 concept was difficult, but at the end of the day, it came up with a number of sensible suggestions, and I think we a nation that we all live in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abba. I'll come to you, Mr. Great, in a moment. Allow him to speak.
I want to quickly just
and then I'll come
to
you in a moment. Just a moment, please. I'll come back to you. Yes. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Boyega Isiaka. I represent the people of Yewa North, Imekwa from Federal Constituency. I'm from Ogun State. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here. For some reason, I wasn't even aware of this. I was looking for the speaker, and I was told he was here. Then I came, and then when he was left, he said, we must wait at all costs. And honestly, this is quite interesting, and I want to appreciate all the people that have put this together. I'll just talk on two things. Number one is the issue of Constitution. Whether we are rewriting it or we are amending it, I think the fact is that we need to continuously look at that document, which is so very important to us as a nation, so that we can have the kind of nation that we want. The complexity of the amendment we all know, not to talk about, of starting a one. But I think one thing that we all have agreed is that there are quite a number of things there that we need to look at. The issue of resources control, the issue of police, state police, and so many areas that we need to look at. But I think very important is that, even the one that we have, how do we use it? As a people, how do we use what we have? The power that we have. I think if as Nigerians, we use our power, whatever power that we have, either as a leader or as a social media influencer, to promote the kind of nation that we want, I think we will be able to move very close to have the kind of country that we want. What my colleague has said here is that how do you, even those of us that are in the social media, that part of the media is so power that we have to promote when it comes to type of election. What are those things that we promote or that I want to see in a leader that we also promote so that we can have the kind of leader that we want? There are various criteria. It is very easy. We do leadership that is we also use our power when the time comes for election, for example, to promote the kind of leadership and have the kind of leadership that we want. I think those are the things that, and I think it boils down on values, on ethics, on integrity, and on
want to remind us that we're meant to join heads together to raise a bill to be presented to Mr. Speaker. Well, he's known for his success rate with bills. He's one of the members that has sponsored and gotten a lot of bills passed. So it's almost a promise that whatever idea, whatever document we come out with will be passed eventually. Of course, it will go through the rigorous process of lawmaking. So I want us to now focus on two topics. The infrastructure bit, smart cities, and ethical media, which is the other part. Something remarkable happened over the weekend. A lot of us watched Copa del Rey, right? Barcelona. Sure we talk about how Remos policy document, which will eventually come up as a bill, can we have, and I'm talking about all of us in this room, what can we come up with to speak to infrastructure, sports? Let's have something definitive that would ensure government is able to pay attention to these things. That's on the one hand. And I want to decide, do we need another legislation for ethical media? So I'm going to come to you. I'm sorry, I call you white Nigerian a lot because that's what we know as. So please, I need help. All right, let's put our hands together for him. He's one of the few men wearing the green collar with this evening. So 2 points. What kind of laws do you look forward to?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mohammed Jamal. Just a quick question, as you were saying, how many of you been to the Emirates Stadium? Emirates, a few people. How many have you been to Mona Lisa? Mona Lisa in Era 11. Oh, wow. Wow, I'm impressed. All right. So I built that for you guys. I built it for the youths. I built it so that we can Hillcrest School when I was there, we had sports activities, physical education. Us today, and that's what made us who we are today. And I feel like physical education and getting our kids out, it's from like all the happening now is because we don't have, even in schools, people don't even go to do physical education, because here they go to ask, no, I know fit. Those children that are in school, they did a mistake, but we cannot punish them. Why can't you punish them? They say, we don't know who their papa be. Last time when they called, they said they go close the school. Last time this. We can't continue like that. So there needs to be, things that these kids can take out their frustration on. Let it be sports. Let's have a sports center in every local government in Nigeria.
I want to ask you a follow-up. From your experience, you've built a sports center.
Yes.
What kind of things you want to see in a law that would encourage people like you? Again, I know cost is an issue.
100%.
I don't know how much it takes to come into your space, but there are people in the rural areas that probably won't be able to afford that much to use a sports center. So what, in your experience, do you want to see in laws to encourage structures like yourselves in rural areas?
So in as much as our honorable members, you guys have road projects, I think you guys should shift from road projects to sports centers. These sports centers are more important than the road projects for our children, and I'm being serious about that. They are probably not more important, but it is as equally important as road projects, because that's what develops the kids, and that's what brings them out and give them their confidence, their teamwork, all those things. Getting into what laws can be put in place and support tax incentive. I mean, when you come to taxes as well, you build a place like this, FCT, you have to pay entertainment tax when you come in. You also have to pay AMAC. You also have to pay this and pay that. It's a bit difficult, but you get there in the long run. There should be tax incentives for investors that come into the sports sector, and I feel that will also help more and more people to build more sports centers around.
Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you so much. I'm tempted to ask you that if you got tax incentives, for example. Anyway. Absolutely. Let's put our hands together for him. So this is something put in the lawmaking process. So I'm going to two people, Honorable LY, then I'll come to you. You know what? I'm sorry. You have, let's be their sensitive. So I have a beautiful wife, a two daughters, even a female dog. I don't want him to not welcome me when I come. So please, let's put our hands together for her so she can make her point. Apologies for that.
A very good evening, everyone. All protocols be observed. My name is Hajia Kemkem.
Your social media handle?
My social media handle is @KemPatriot.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Right. What matters to me the most here is about the ethical media. I cut my teeth in broadcasting in 2007 on radio. And one of the things that was drilled into us was patriotism. Is it fair to Nigeria? Is it fair to the people listening? Does it matter? Does it really count? What you're about to share, is it going to make the world a better place? I say to people, if media people say 50% of what they know, Nigeria will burn. Unfortunately, we now have a social media that people do not understand that you can't say everything you know. If you say everything you know, you will set the country ablaze. And if you set the country ablaze, at the end of the day, you will have nowhere to go. I was in Brussels a few weeks back, and I saw Syrians begging on the road because they burnt their country. And so, for me, when Senator Sani 313 came up with the social media bill back in 2019, I was all up for it because I said, as the people evolve, so must their laws. What that honorable from Rivers State said is very germane. The traditional media has a responsibility to the people But today, very few people are listening or watching the traditional media. Very few people are getting their information from the traditional media because we all have these screens on our hands that brings the news directly to us. So if there is anything we need to do, if there is anything we need to pay attention to, is to help the average Nigerian understand how they kill Nigeria every time they feel that they must put everything right there for the whole world to see. As we speak, I don't know if it has been restored. There is a power cut in Portugal and Spain as we speak. You will hardly see any of the Spaniards or the Portuguese tweet it in a way to denigrate their country. And these are some of the conversations we need to pay attention to. It doesn't even affect the lawmakers. It doesn't even affect the lawmakers. It doesn't affect the top people in government because they don't get to mix with the ordinary people. But I've traveled to several cities, and after interacting with people nicely, and they ask me, where are you from? Once I say Nigeria, there is that tendency for a shock reaction. And I'm not sure I will get that if I have all the protocol of Mr. President and all of that.
Right.
So it's the average Nigerian who gets to suffer for what the average Nigerian does to Nigeria. And so, for me, thank you very much. For me, I think that some of the conversations we need to start to have is how to tell the average Nigerian how they hurt themselves by saying gibberish about Nigeria.
Thank you
So for
very
me,
much.
that's ethical media. Everybody's a media person today with a social media. So everybody should understand the ethics of the media and should put forth their best foot every time they're out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, because with much power comes much responsibility. But the flip side of this is the average Nigerian the bigger problem, really? Because what they will tell you is, I'm not the politician responsible for the roads, for the schools, for the hospitals, for the dilapidated infrastructure. So is it fair to really say, I am the bigger problem here, when there is a politician there, there's someone in government who is not doing their bit? So I want us to strike a balance between patriotism and just stifling, people's freedom of expression. Because some of us people just speak about things that are wrong in the society. I see I have opened up a vista right now. So I want to get more ladies to speak so we can be very gender sensitive. So I want to prep Selena and Felicia to speak on this. Don't forget, I said earlier on that we have a lot of laws already. There's a Cyber Crimes Prohibition Prevention Act. There's a NITSDA. There's Violence Against Persons. There's a Constitution. There are laws that deal with these things. So I want to prep Selena and Felicia to speak, but for a few seconds you can quickly respond.
Let me just quickly say that it is Spain that has no light right now. Portugal that has no light right now. The Spaniards are not tweeting it. Ghana has some very bad roads. The Ghanaians are not denigrating Ghana. Kenya is not the best country in the world. The Kenyans had a problem with their government and they faced the government. They did not insult Kenya. That's the difference between the average Nigerian that we have and the citizens of other countries. And how we're going to fix that, I'm not sure I have, the answer to that. But I think that the first thing to understand is to explain to the average Nigerian that every time you denigrate Nigeria, you kill yourself, one cell at a time. So once the Nigerian can understand that, in my own opinion, we will have done a great thing, not just for us now, but for our children and those yet unborn.
All right, we're back.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So, the point is, every Nigerian has a right to speak. If they see a road is bad, they should speak about it. Kem, am I correct? They can speak about that. If they think a person in government is not doing right, they have the right to speak against that. Am I correct? So your point is, what? Do not denigrate Nigeria.
Every time you want to speak, for those of us in the media, one of the first things that you must understand is, what am I trying to achieve with what I'm trying to say?
All right.
Everybody can speak, but not everybody is a broadcaster. There's a reason why there's a difference.
So I think I get the point you're trying to make.
Exactly.
So let's come to Honorable El Rufai quickly. Thank you very much for that. You wanted to make a point. We're totally out of time.
There is a reason why when you wake up in the morning in stock exchange, what determines the stock? Speculation. If you keep speculating your country negatively, you are worsening your currency. Because that's how the world works. And do you know that nations invest into propaganda against your country so that their currency can rise? That's why when we are sleeping, some stock exchange are opening up, and it is speculation that determines currency.
Right.
So you have to really find a balance.
So that's another angle to this. So are we then saying that the current party in power, the APC, pre-2015, all of the things it did, was it inimical to Nigeria? Because that's what the young people say. They tell you when you were opposition, you did worse. All right. So I want us to settle that if we can tonight. Are we then agreeing that all of the things done then were wrong? Pull down the image of Nigeria. Do we agree or not? Then we can move forward. Honorable.
Do I have to come on stage, or is this?
Absolutely, come on stage. Let's put our hands together for him.
That I have to. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Kaide. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Honorable Mohammed Bello El Rufai. I represent the people of Kaduna North. I'm from Kaduna North Federal Constituency. I see only one person is waving from Kaduna, unlike when our father, Honorable G and I, yelled, and Ogun people just went crazy. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for giving us your time. And that's love from Rivers. I appreciate it, Honorable Cyril. It's really excellent. And if I knew that was Ms. Kem Parrott on X, I probably would have bowed properly to give her this mic. I follow her, and I think she's a patriot. Kade, it's a pleasure to have you. I follow your show. I would like to speak in the only way I know how to speak, bluntly. I don't know who gave the average Nigerian the impression that he is devoid of errors or messing up. What she said is actually true. I will talk to Ortega later and my elder brother, Dada. The only issue I have with this engagement is that I know, Loki, a lot of us are APC. I'll suggest next time that we perhaps bring online influencers from the other side of the aisle. Oh, excellent, excellent. Then I take it back. But I was going to add, do you know why most times we do not do that? Because there are young people now that think if they're invited to places like this to exchange their thoughts and ideas, they will start booing our speaker. This is the issue. When Nigerians, they speak about freedom of expression, I did my A-levels in the United Kingdom for 2 years. I studied in America for 8 years. And all the nonsense Trump pulls in America now, I don't see him being dragged like Ashwaju. I don't see him being dragged like Buhari. I mean, it's the same young people that thought Buhari was Jibril of Sudan because they hated APC. And a lot of you in the media didn't see it fit to counter that. We have a problem as young people where Kem Parrott got it wrong is they don't think it's cool to insult Nigeria. They don't think it's cool to attack the president of Nigeria. They actually think it will take them somewhere. And we need to have this honest conversation with one another, as I always say. But most importantly, I failed. This. Now, Kayode, you're a brilliant journalist, so you caught us. I'm a new member. I've been here for 2 years, but I've seen excellent legislators in this building. I've seen excellent clerks. What I'm seeing now. But yes, if one member messes up, I wake up to tweets, people insult me, even I was not there. When I mess up, I'll take the insult. I might insult back. I'm having a day. Most times, the ones older than me have told me to overlook. Why? Because we are in a position of privilege. An honor to be 37 and be a federal lawmaker. That is why some of us are trying to act the right way so that laws are not blocked for other young people. I am proud of ABC, but thank you. Kayode made a good point. And I'll say this here and I said it everywhere. Leaders, let me say this for myself. No, your transportation is getting a pep. But once in a while, you'll approach White Niger, you'll approach Kudus and his thriving business. Kudus, we're proud of you. Keep your hustle. You can go to hell. And they borrow you their Land Cruiser, and you go and pick the babe, go to a house in Lekki. Eventually, it will come out that your mode of transportation is Keke Napep. So why didn't you just start with the Keke Napep? APC, our issue is we have overpromised and we are under-delivering. That does not mean it can get better. It does not mean the opposition should not criticize us. Not every criticism is an insult. My father gets attacked all the time. I see it as an insult. I adore the speaker. He gets criticized. I don't see it as an insult. But patriotic Nigerians like Kempart is within their rights to come out when people promote fake news. And this. 3 months ago, I walked into the National Assembly and people were looking at me like a big boy. Do you know why? A stupid woman decided to wake up and say I've been arrested with $1 million, 3 billion naira, and cocaine. She just put it out there. And what, as a citizen, or because I'm a politician and she's an average citizen, I should let her go? No. We need to have these conversations. And you see, this House, under the leadership of Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, has had at least 6 media engagements with young people. You know, I think it's a good idea. I think it's very important to decentralize what leadership is. We are elected by you. When you see us, there's no need to do the whole going down thing. It should be an authentic conversation. We should listen to what you have to. We don't have to implement it, but we should listen. As for ethical media, Kayode, I'm glad Arise was removed from here. The first time, I like channels, but I recall Arise asking me for an interview, and I said no. And the shock in their faces that I said no. I said no because you covered a story I was not, that's untrue. You have ethics in media too. We know journalists, and I'm telling you this, you are one very is. Understand. But some people, like you all know journalists that zoology, they think when they attack people, that's what someone will call them. One thing I love President Buhari for doing is allowing you to attack him and annoy you. We are bound. We are all bound here to serve you. Took an oath. Nigerians are going through a lot, and this is why Kayode is right, and the presidential age should hear this from a federal lawmaker. The cost of living is increasing. The amount people pay just to go back home today is a lot. Sometimes when we are here, we forget this. There's a reason why insecurity is on the high, because unemployment is down. So when people why not sport facilities, we commend them. When people do say, set up a company and employ people, when they don't put them in minimum wage, we commend them. If you have a problem with that, go on X, fake news, tag me, and I'll deal with you. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Hands together for Honorable Bello. Thank you so much. Whew. So a lot to digest that, and I want to thank everyone. There are rapporteurs, by the way, putting down a lot of points made. I need to apologize profusely. We have to wrap up at this point. I have overshot my time, and I do not want to be dragged both online and offline. So put your hands together for yourselves. This, by the way, is no end to this conversation. It comes after that. Thank you very much for your suggestions. I did. Also got a mic. She comes up. When you're done, please hand over the mic to them.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Selina Kama, and I'm a beauty influencer and content creator and entrepreneur. I'm very excited to be a part of this because it's particularly important to invite youth into conversations like this because we're not just the future, we are now, and conversations we're able to have today will be able to shape the future. So I really want to highlight in terms of what we were speaking about, you know, how we present our country and patriotic about it. I believe that if we silence Nigerians, we tell them not to speak about things happening in the country because we do not want to make our country look bad, then I will be giving people in power, politicians, the opportunity to do as they will because they know that the youth will not speak about it. So I believe solemnly in giving people digital literacy and also having a digital responsibility. So there's so much power and influence, but what influence do you have if it's becoming dangerous? So I think we should not look at, implementing laws, punish people for, harmful information, actually look at laws to prevent it. So how are you trying to curb lies? Are you trying to just curb lies and shut people down? Or are you trying to help them lead? What is the form of digital literacy that you're actually giving to the youth, and what are the facts that you're producing? I think the reason why we have a lot of misinformation and why people just generally share news and whatever comes to mind is because there's not enough accountability at the top. We're being given information that is not total sometimes, or maybe just enough, and that's why people come up with their own information, their own ideas, and they pass it around, and it goes very quickly. So I think it's the responsibility of the government and the lawmakers to make sure that the information that you're passing out is articulate, it's fully detailed, and that way we as users, influencers, can use our platform to promote that. But in a situation where you leave out details and you don't tell us this, or you particularly lie about something, we as users would dig it out. And it's possible that we might add a little, as bloggers, because, people want to make money. But I think it's important as a government maker, a lawmaker, someone in the government, or particularly part of politics, to have that as a responsibility to do right by the youth and also share the right information. And I also just want to, speak to creators, speak to influencers about the responsibility about it as well. I always say that virality does not equal value, and your impressions don't really equal to impact. So as someone that my content reaches thousands of people, I make sure that I'm actually giving an impact. It's not just about an income, but truly giving people value and actually making sure that what I'm giving out there, what I'm pushing out there is authentic and actually factual. So yes, that's basically what I want to speak about, is for more digital responsibility at the top. If our government, if the people at the top are more responsible, I think that would help with a little bit more patriotism on the youth, because we can trust that the information we are receiving is authentic, it's true, it's factual, no details are left out, and we can fully trust in that. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for her. And of course, Kayode, thank you so much for doing a yeoman's job. We're very much appreciative of the honorable members' contributions as well. SSA to the President on Digital and New Media, thank you very much. As we bring this conversation to a close, it is pertinent that you take with you some of the very salient points that have been raised here and the responses some of the members of the House of Representatives have also given. But please, the conversation does not end here. Just as Mr. Ortega said earlier on, and Mr. Bright, the conversation is actually just beginning. And I'd like that those of you that are new media influencers would also begin to think along the line of the ethics of your profession. The ethics of your profession. You need to think it through. We're breaking out to be able to call it a day from here, but we need to be able to hear very quickly a few remarks from legendary Joe. Please come up to stage. A round of applause for legendary Joe. He made it happen. Do you intend to make it a clap for him? Can we make it a clap for him, please?
You made it happen. Thank you. All right, all right. Thank you, one and all, for coming. Many flew here from a long distance to be here. And I must again emphasize that everyone you've seen here, from Selena, who gave a very wonderful closing speech here, and J Jam, Yalaya, Ortega, David Ofo, Okezie, Joaba, and the rest of everyone that came here today came here out of patriotism. You know, there were some we delisted because they thought this was a money-making venture. No, this is nation building, and citizens are collaborating with leaders to ensure that they jointly build our nation. Once again, thank you everyone for being part of this. I appreciate one and all.
Thank you very much. And so as we draw this roundtable discussion on new media engagement to a close, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to each and every one of you for your active participation, insightful contributions, and commitment to fostering meaningful dialogue. We look forward to these on behalf of the Office of the